10 kilometres before we got to the first sector of Cobbles. A minute and a half was roughly the highest gap that the breakaway had. Derek G, Sjoerd Bucks, Yuri Holman and Jonas Koch were there as the crashes carried on behind, and Peter Sagan crashed out for the second week running. 2 final appearances in cobbled monuments, 2 DNFs and trips to the hospital. With 102 kilometres to go, the real party started. Jumbo-Visma anticipating just about everybody. Mathieu Van der Poel was wise to it, as was Stefan Kung. John Degenkolb in there, as well as Van Aert and Laporte attacked going into the famous Arenberg Trench. There were problems and heartbreak for Derek G. On debut he'd made it up there. He suffered a mechanical and would not be seen again. In the meantime, crashes behind for the defending champion Dylan van Baarle, and Kisper Asgreen, former winner of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, would also go out. Mars Pedersen would set off in support, and then Christophe Laporte would suffer a mechanical. Walscheid would get there, Ganna as well, and suddenly 13 riders were on their way to the front of the race. Laporte would try and work to get back on. The 13 at the front would gradually be whittled down. Jonas Koch and Sjoerd Bucks losing contact. Nathan Verhooydonk would restart the chase. He'd try and get back with Florian Vermeersch, a former second place finisher, and Laporte. Mathieu Van der Poel would attack and continue to attack. 50 k's to go when he launched this move. Wout van Aert was quick across, and the rest would soon follow. But to the front he'd go again. Monson-Pével this time. Max Walscheid struggling to hold on. And even off the end of the big sector of Cobbles, the 5-star one, Van der Poel would once more try to be aggressive. Next time they came to 5 stars, it would be Carrefour de l'Arbre, the final big test before the velodrome itself. A coming together, Degenkolb down, hearts broken. The 2015 winner looking for cobblestone number 2 down and out for the win. He'd be back on his bike as Wout van Aert and Mathieu Van der Poel were at the front of the race. But with 15.5 kilometres remaining, Van Aert would be losing the wheel. He'd also be losing the air in his back tyre. A puncture on Carrefour de l'Arbre, effectively ending his chances of winning the race and seeing Van der Poel ride away solo. Van der Poel was out in the front and tried to stay there. He'd be taking risks though. Van Aert set off in search of his big rival. But that big rival was able to keep it upright even though the risks were being taken. On the way to the velodrome, there was a final attempt to try and shake Jasper Philipsen. And in that velodrome, at the end of what was to be the fastest ever Paris-Roubaix, Mathieu Van der Poel arrived alone. He finally realised what he'd done, and becoming just the 4th rider in history to win Paris-Roubaix and Milano-San Remo in the same season. Van der Poel victorious, and it will be a first 1-2 for a team in Paris-Roubaix for 22 long years. Not since the days of Dumo van Vliet had that occurred. But Alpecin de Koning, or Alpecin Elegant as they were known on the day, put in an aggressive performance that saw Philipsen finish second, with Wout van Aert denied any sort of luck, having to settle for 3rd place. Big celebrations for Van der Poel. First in San Remo, second in the Ronde, first again in Roubaix. His 3rd different monument, 4th in total. He's the man with the best percentage of top 10 finishes of any rider who has ever ridden a monument. It's a win though here. Philipsen second, Van Aert third, with Pedersen and Kung in the top 5. Ganna and Degenkolb with a heartbreaking 7th, as Mathieu Van der Poel became the 2nd Dutchman in as many seasons to lift the famous cobblestone in the old Roubaix velodrome.